All right, welcome back, everybody. Good to have you here with me. And in this week's video, we're going to get into the meditations or some of the meditations that are involved with iron palm training. Without it doesn't make any sense to me because, I mean, you can hit your hand, you can get bumps on your knuckles and everything else, and oh my gosh, he hits it, you can't hurt his hand. He can punch steel, or he can dent a I-beam, whatever, but without knowing how to move the chi, the internal energy, and direct it, I don't see. It's just like a, I guess, like a hammer or something, and it's just, I don't get it, and that's not happening. You see boxers break their hands with hand wraps, 12-ounce gloves on, and break their hands from hitting hard. So you can put all the medicine you want on your hands. You can do all of those things. You can hit and have those ugly, deformed hands. It's not the same as being able to move your energy where you want it to go, when you want it to go there. All right. And that's where the meditations come in. And I'm going to go over two different types of meditations and explain some of them, both of them. But the one is like when we end the final meditation in iron palm training, where we stand here. In Bagua, it's called Wu Ji, like a void position. You're just standing there with your knees slightly bent. You're grounded, you're rooted, and you bring the energy up the spine. In the beginning, a lot of times you're told to, visualize like a ping pong ball going up, and a ping pong ball will swerve and wave as the wind. It can curve everything else. So you want to, visualize that ball, that ping pong ball flowing, straight as it loops in your body and not wave. I spoke last week about the snake running up the spine. So you want to get it straight. But what we would do is we would bring the energy up, visualize it coming up, and then visualize it going down to your palm. If you're left-handed, of course, you would visualize it going down to the left. But what you would do is inhale, and you guys, if you don't know about belly breathing, when we inhale, we don't inhale with the stomach going in. That's called reverse breathing to us. And there are meditations where we do reverse breathing. But for the sake of any kind of argument or anything, in these exercises, when we inhale, your stomach will go out. And when we exhale, your stomach will go back in. All right. So when we inhale, we visualize that energy going up to the crown of your head and then going down to the center of the palm of your hand. All right, we call that they call this the tiger's mouth when they're doing this and looking through it. But this is like the barrel of a rifle or a pistol or something, and you want to feel that energy here at the center. Okay, so you inhale, exhale, bringing it down. You want to keep those shoulders relaxed. You'll feel that tension and you start dropping the shoulders more. All right. And you start deep breathing, bringing it up slower, letting it out slower. All right. And you want to visualize. All right. It's no different than what everybody always says is where the mind goes, the energy flows. All right. So, and a lot of boxers, just from, their daily habits and their body mechanics, and they develop a lot of power for punching. All right. I think if someone wanted to learn how to punch with a lot of power, they should enroll at a boxing school and learn how to, the mechanics of how it's driven up from the feet, up the leg, the knee, the hips, everything. You're not going to get that at 99.9% of the martial arts schools. I mean, that's just reality. If I wanted to learn how to kick real well, I would do Savat or Muay Thai or Taekwondo, even, where I learn how to develop a lot of different type of kicks. If I want to learn grappling, I'm going to wrestle or jujitsu. So I mean, there's specialties for all of these different things. So a boxer will get that mechanics down, and they can hit hard. What I mean by what we do in Iron Palm, yeah, we hit hard as well, but it's a different controlled, okay? We're not hitting with fists. Remember, palm the head, punch the body, okay? I want to palm hard things. I want to punch softer things. There's a big difference. Once you start really getting Iron Palm, you rarely will make a fist. Why would I even do a fist? I hit the body hard as well as hit the head hard. All right, hit the arms hard, all with palm, and there's no need for the fist. All right, but that's one meditation. All right, for that. Remember what I said last week about how we would meditate and bring it around like this. And Dr. Susan Dang in Cleveland Heights, she was a herbalist that I used to use long before I met Mike Biggie. But she would talk about the energy getting stuck in that big gap, and those people lose their brains a lot of times. So it is what it is, and I could get a whole story into that. All right, the other meditation I want to talk about is placing the left navel the left thumb into the navel. The navel is the center of energy. It's where we got all our nourishment when we were in the womb. That's where when we left the womb and were born into this third dimension, the last part of the process of being birthed is to cut that umbilical cord, okay, that nourished us while we were growing in the womb. So this is where the center of energy is. It's not the Tantien. As teacher talked about, that Tantien is that muscle that needs to be exercised in order to shoot things where they need to go. It is to push, give that oomph to that energy while it's leaving. That's why when we exhale, we don't exhale hiya. We exhale. It's that push from the Tantien, that muscle that's below the center of energy, which is the navel. But anyways, we would put the thumb into that navel, the left thumb, because I'm right-handed, and it should be for anyone except for ladies. Ladies would do the opposite. But the left thumb in the navel, the right palm on that Tantien, where the energy is stored, okay, below the navel. All right, and we visualize the energy being sucked into the thumb, rotating around, and then putting it back. It's important in the Chinese martial arts to store that energy where it needs to be stored, and to put mentally and to think about putting that energy back where it's supposed to be stored at, instead of it being just all over the place. That's why chi balancing and things like that. You speak to any Chinese person who knows about, herbs or knows about energies, they would tell you that there's chi that gets stuck behind different organs, things of that nature. That's why it's important to gather them. All right. In Tai Chi, we gather, we took that energy out to play with. Okay. And when we took that energy out to play with it, we need to put it back. That's why you'll see at the end, people will gather and then put that energy back. They visualize, not just uh, go through the motion, or a lot of people probably do just go through the motion, but they don't visualize that energy being gathered up throughout the body and then placed back where it needs to be stored. So, left thumb in the navel, right palm on the tantien, and it's that inhaling, exhaling. Okay, and you do it as long as you want to. There's no set time, there's no set repetitions or anything of that nature. One thing that I should talk about though is the and I just had it in my head and I lost it. Is what was I thinking? Is something getting old, and no, but because thoughts come to me big time, and I gather them when I can, and then I lose them when I can't, and when I can't keep them. But it's to when we're breathing like this and we're sending that energy and putting it back where it belongs, we need to stay relaxed. Okay, that's big, the relaxation. But this is what I was going to talk about. Energy leaves any orifice in our body. Okay, so it exits the mouth, the nose, the ears, the eyes, the anus. So it's very important when you're doing this. When I'm inhaling, my tailbone, I'm pulling in. Okay, my anus is closed. I'm not sitting there squeezing my ass, or anything like that. But I'm closing that sphincter. I'm using that sphincter muscle to close that opening. All right, and allowing that energy to flow without going out various exits. That's why we keep the tongue in the roof of our mouth. We keep our mouth closed. All right, you'll see meditations. I believe I brought this up last week, where people will meditate for 5 minutes this way, and then 5 minutes shutting off the other ear, and then 5 minutes closing off both ears while the eyes are closed, while they're breathing just through the nose, while their sphincter is closed. So that's very important. And that was the train of thought that I had lost, was closing of the orifices that are open. All right. And there's not much you can do about all of them. I used to always put in earplugs, and I would meditate with the earplugs, and not to drown out sounds to where I'm more focused or anything like that. It was to close off these orifices where energy can flow out of. All right. So those are a couple of the meditations, and without knowing how to move the energy, this is just insanity to me. So I mean, we need to know how to move that energy. That's why you'll see, I don't know if you guys seen like Teacher breaking on, and Teacher, for those of you that are new to this channel, Grandmaster Gene Coin, where he'll break, where it's a yin break or it's a yang break, and you can see the differences. If any of you know of Gary Kleiman out of Chicago, I mean, he hits with, the different elements with metal, wood, and you can feel the different strikes, and how that same exact strike is so different when it's water as opposed to fire, or metal as opposed to wood. Okay, so these are different striking methods, and it's all from utilizing this energy and this chi that we all have in our body, this life force. All right, so those are a couple of meditations. I hope you guys get a lot out of these videos, man. And I think that, you know, some of the questions, some of the requests have all been awesome. And if I don't get to your request, remind me again because, man, I got a lot going on. All right. But until next week, and like the video. So many people have been hitting the video and they watch the video. If you don't like it, then hit dislike. If you liked it, hit like. At least help me in that regards because it gets it out to more people. The algorithm will pick it up and show it to more people. And that way this channel can continue to grow. And if you're not a member, hit that like button. I mean, that subscribe button and join us. All right. Add some comments because we have some great dialogue. All right. Peace be with you all, and I'll see you next Thursday.